Ayanda, good evening to you and welcome. We know that there were delays ahead of the start. What's happening right now where you are?
A very good evening to you, Iman. Good evening to our viewers at home. Well, as you can possibly hear behind me, the delegates representing 111 branches here in the Ethekwini region, which of course happens to be the ANC's largest region in the country, have broken out in song. In fact, the song they are singing is Yinde Lendlela. It has been a long road. Indeed, it has been a long road for these ANC members, as the last conference was held in 2015, and so 7 years later these members of the ANC have gathered here at the Durban International Convention Center to elect their leaders that will then take this or lead this region and take the ANC forward. As you said there, Iman, that yes, it has been delays after delays. The conference in fact was supposed to start at 9 a.m. this morning, only starting at around 2 p.m. this afternoon with the opening address by the chairperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala. And it looks like it's going to be a very long night for these delegates, as the process that has to happen now is that of the credentials. This is to ensure that all the delegates that are here, the voting delegates, that indeed everybody that has the accreditation are indeed the delegates that should be voting. So one of the challenges that we hear, which has led to a process now where they're going to have to do a head count, which is why we're now seeing these delegates have now come out of the main hall. They are now going to be one by one have to be marked against a register, and this is after some concerns were raised by some members saying that or threatening rather to collapse the conference if this process had not been done, as they were saying that when the delegates arrived here at the Durban ICC, all they had to produce was their accreditation and IDs, and they were saying that the voting delegates in particular were not checked against a register. So this process now is going to be quite a long process, which will probably take us way into the night. About 400 voting delegates, and they now individually have to be counted against the register, and this is to ensure, of course, that those who should be inside the conference, particularly those that are going to be voting, are indeed those that have been sent by their branches to come and represent them at this conference. The ANC earlier on, the leadership, speaking about these delays, saying that they're necessary because what they don't want to happen is to find themselves in a situation where the conference could be challenged by disgruntled members. So as long as it takes, they're saying, to ensure that they have followed all party processes. So, man, it looks like it's going to be quite a long night for ourselves here as members of the media who are covering this conference, and of course these delegates, as you're saying that of course these for what is important for these delegates, and we've been hearing and speaking to them, is that all-important election. So after this process of credentials, members of the media are then going to be allowed back into the main hall where the nominations will then take place. Thereafter, the election or the voting will then take place. Right. And then tomorrow we expect that the officials will then be announced. Eman?
So, and these administrative issues are by no means a novel feature when it comes to ANC conferences. It happens all the time. As you say, there is, a key focus on why it needs to be done properly. But, they have to obviously come up with ways to make this process run a little smoother. Take us into Battleground Ethekwini, Ayanda, very briefly. Just share with us, the main contenders, Thabani Nyawose and former Ethekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede, are the front runners. A lot of the pundits are predicting that she will emerge victorious. Just give us a synopsis on how this leadership battle is playing out between the pair of them.
Yeah, hotly contested election, Iman. I tell you, if you speak to those who are supporting Zandile Gumede, they will tell you that they have the numbers. Equally, if you speak to those that are supporting Thabani Nyawose, who's currently the Speaker of the Ethekwini municipality, they will tell you that they are confident and they have the numbers. Of course, very interestingly is the fact that Zandile Gumede is not at the conference herself due to the step aside rule. And so she, of course, will be accepting her nomination, but that will be done with her following these proceedings from her home. She is not present here today. But other, I suppose, key people that we can mention in these two slates would be her former secretary, Begintuli, who had supported and was very close to Zandile Gumede. He's now jumped ship, and he is now contesting the position of secretary in the unit or in the slate with Thabani Nyawose. So there has been some interesting dynamics, but I tell you, from both sides at this point, it's difficult to tell. It will be up to these branch members when they cast their votes who will become the next chairperson of the Ethekwini region. Imam?
A lot at stake there. Well, I hope you've got flat shoes on and plenty of energy drinks. As you say, it's going to be a long night ahead. Ayanda Mhlongo, our reporter in Durban, and we'll keep you connected to developments in that elective conference.